Optimus Prime. Before we get into anyone else, we need to establish the gold standard. The measuring stick every Autobot gets held up to. Optimus Prime is not just a leader. He is the reason the Autobots exist as a functioning army, and not a scattered group of refugees with guns. Born Orion Pax, a dock worker on Cybertron who believed in justice so much he petitioned Megatron himself before the war started. Before Megatron became a warlord. Back when he was a gladiator preaching equality for the lower castes. Orion admired him, genuinely, and then watched him become exactly what he claimed to fight against. The Primes recognized something in Orion and remade him, gave him the matrix of leadership, and with it, a burden that would span millions of years across 2 planets. Alpha Trion. Before Optimus Prime existed, there was Alpha Trion, one of the original 13 Transformers, ancient beyond any reasonable reckoning, the bot who looked at a dock worker named Orion Pax and saw what nobody else could see yet. He rebuilt Orion after Megatron nearly killed him, gave him the body and the potential to become Prime, and then stepped back and let history happen. Alpha Trion is the Autobots' archivist historian, and the closest thing the faction has to a conscience that predates the war itself. He has watched Cybertron rise, fall, be rebuilt, and fall again across timescales that make the current conflict look like a bad afternoon. He does not panic. He plans. Elita 1. Elita 1 leads the Autobot resistance on Cybertron, while Optimus and the Arc crew are frozen on Earth for 4 million years. Let that land for a second. While the bots we follow in the cartoon are in stasis, she is fighting a guerrilla war against the entire Decepticon occupation with limited resources, no backup, and no guarantee that anyone is ever coming back. She and Optimus share a history that predates the war, back when she was Ariel and he was Orion Pax, both of them ordinary Cybertronians before everything changed. Her special power, a time-stopping ability that burns her own life force to use, is a perfect metaphor for everything about her. Bumblebee. If Optimus is the soul of the Autobots, Bumblebee is the heart. And the tragedy is that for most of his existence, he could not even tell you that himself. The Decepticons damaged his voice box early in the war, and for decades, arguably the most emotionally expressive Autobot on the roster could only communicate through radio clips and beeps. Think about that. The one bot most naturally built for connection, forced into silence. In the original cartoon, he is the youngest feeling member of the crew, the one humans relate to immediately, the one Spike Witwicky befriends first. Small, yellow, not particularly powerful, just heart and speed and the kind of stubborn courage that gets you through situations that raw firepower cannot. Jazz. Jazz is the Autobot who looks at an alien planet and says this place is fantastic. Every other bot on the Ark landed on Earth and treated it like a mission parameter. Jazz landed and immediately started absorbing human culture like it was the whole point of being there. Music, especially. He was consuming Earth radio signals before they even had functional alt modes sorted out. In combat, he is fluid where others are mechanical, improvisational where others follow doctrine. You get the sense that Jazz genuinely enjoys the chaos of a firefight in a way that is different from a warrior's enjoyment. He enjoys the creativity of it. His death in the 2007 film is still one of the most genuinely shocking moments in the franchise, because when Megatron rips him apart, you feel the waste of it. Ironhide. Do not mistake Ironhide for a simple bruiser. Yes, he has the biggest guns on the team. Yes, his answer to most problems involves firing something, but there is a reason Optimus trusts him above almost everyone else with personal security. Ironhide is ancient even by Cybertronian standards. He has been fighting since before most Autobots on this list were constructed. That experience means he reads a battlefield the way younger bots cannot. In the live-action films, he is reimagined as a grizzled Special Forces veteran who genuinely loves his work. Not in a bloodthirsty way. In the way a craftsman loves his craft. His death in Dark of the Moon hits harder than almost any other in the series because it is so sudden and so complete. Warpath. Warpath is the tank. Literally the tank. His alt mode is a self-propelled cannon, and his personality matches accordingly. He punctuates his own sentences with sound effects, blam, kapow, wham, which sounds like a comedy bit until you realize that is genuinely how he experiences combat. Every engagement is vivid and immediate to him in a way that other Autobots process differently. He is not subtle, he is not tactical, and he does not particularly want to be. What he is reliable. You point Warpath at a problem, and the problem stops existing. In a roster full of complicated bots with complicated feelings about the war, Warpath is the uncomplicated one. And there are moments when that is exactly what the situation needs. Brawn. Brawn is the mini-bot who fights like he has something to prove, and has been proving it for so long he forgot what the original point was. He is one of the physically strongest Autobots on the roster despite being one of the smallest, and he will bring this up unprompted. He is stubborn, loud, and completely without the self-awareness to recognize that his chip on the shoulder has become the most prominent thing about him. Other Autobots find him exhausting. He does not care. In the 1986 movie, he is killed almost immediately, shot dead in the first act, which remains one of the most jarring cold opens in animated film history. He went down swinging. Naturally, Ratchet. Every army needs a medic. The Autobots need Ratchet specifically because Ratchet is the only one willing to tell Optimus Prime to his face that he is making a mistake. Every other Autobot defers to Prime. Ratchet argues. He has opinions about battlefield decisions, about reckless tactics, about Autobots who come back to him in pieces because someone thought charging a Decepticon position alone was a reasonable plan. His alt mode as an ambulance tells you everything. He chose healing. In a war that has been running for millions of years, he chose to spend that time putting people back together. The bitterness that shows up in his dialogue in later continuities is earned. Prowl. Prowl is the one the other Autobots respect, and nobody particularly likes hanging around. He is the strategist, the logic processor, the bot who will calculate acceptable casualties in a tone of voice that makes everyone in the room deeply uncomfortable. His alt mode is a police car, and that is not a coincidence. Prowl thinks in terms of systems, rules, and optimal outcomes. He does not hate Decepticons the way Ironhide does. He categorizes them as a problem requiring a solution. In the IDW comics, he becomes genuinely sinister, willing to do monstrous things in service of outcomes he has already calculated as correct. The scariest version of Prowl is not the one who wants to hurt you. It is the one who has determined your suffering is mathematically justified. Sideswipe. Sideswipe is the Autobot most likely to be the reason your mission goes sideways and simultaneously the reason you survive it. He is reckless in a way that somehow keeps working out. Optimus has dressed him down more times than can be counted. It never sticks. He treats warfare the way jazz treats music, as something you express yourself through. In the live-action films, he gets rocket-powered feet and a fighting style clearly designed to make 12-year-olds lose their minds. It works. The red Lamborghini has been a fan favorite since 1984 for a reason. He is the Autobot you send in when the plan is already broken, and you need someone who thrives in broken plans. Sunstreaker. If Sideswipe is chaos with a sense of humor, Sunstreaker is chaos with a mirror. He is vain in a way that is almost impressive, convinced his yellow paint job is the most important thing on the battlefield. He will fight Decepticons with genuine ferocity, and then spend 20 minutes complaining that the fight scratched his finish. Underneath the vanity is a cold and efficient fighter. Sunstreaker does not brawl. He eliminates. There is a mechanical precision to his violence that his brother does not share. He is fighting because he is very good at it, and good enough to never let it touch him emotionally. Whether that is admirable or deeply concerning depends on how long you have known him. Wheeljack. Wheeljack is the reason the Autobots have any advanced technology at all, and also the reason their base has been accidentally blown up more times than anyone wants to count. He is the engineer, the inventor, the bot who looks at a problem nobody has solved and immediately starts building something that has a 40% chance of making everything worse before it gets better. The Dinobots are his creation. Let that sink in. He looked at Earth's prehistoric fossils and decided the best thing to do was build giant transforming mechanical dinosaurs, and somehow convinced Optimus this was a good use of resources. He was right. Grimlock alone has turned the tide of battles nothing else could. Wheeljack's genius is real, and his recklessness is equally real. Hound. Hound is the Autobot who genuinely loves Earth, not in the way Bumblebee loves humans or Jazz loves human culture. Hound loves the planet itself, the terrain, the wilderness, the organic complexity of a world that grew instead of being built. His holographic projection abilities make him invaluable for reconnaissance and deception, but it also means he spends his downtime making trees and rivers and mountains appear in empty rooms because he finds it beautiful. In a franchise about ancient mechanical beings, Hound is the one that makes you believe a robot could be capable of something close to wonder. Beachcomber. Beachcomber is what happens when a pacifist ends up in a war and decides the war is simply going to have to deal with him. He is a geologist, a wanderer, a bot who transforms into a dune buggy and spends every moment he can exploring the natural world he has been asked to help defend. He meditates. He collects mineral samples. He is not naive about the war. He participates when he has to. He just refuses to let the war be the whole of who he is. In a franchise where nearly everyone is defined by their combat function, Beachcomber is defined by what he does in between, and the franchise is quietly better for having him. Mirage. Mirage is the Autobot with the uncomfortable backstory. He is aristocracy. Cybertronian upper class who had everything before the war and never quite let go of the resentment that the war took it. He can turn invisible, which makes him one of the most tactically valuable Autobots on the roster. It also means the other Autobots have never fully trusted him, because a bot who can vanish completely is a bot you cannot verify. There are continuities where that distrust is justified, where Mirage's loyalty wavers, where his comfort with Decepticons who share his pre-war social class becomes a genuine liability. He is the Autobot who makes the team uncomfortable and is aware of it. That awareness is either the beginning of redemption or the most sophisticated cover ever developed. Depending on the continuity, it is both. Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper is Bumblebee if Bumblebee had a short fuse and a persecution population complex the size of Cybertron. He is small, he is fast, and he is angrier about it than anyone on the team. His glass gas weaponry can shatter even reinforced Decepticon armor, which he deploys constantly because Cliffjumper does not wait for permission to start a fight. In Transformers Prime, he is killed in the first episode, not the first season. The first episode, which tells you exactly what kind of statement the writers wanted to make about how quickly this war claims people. He deserved better. He would have hated that we said that. Trailbreaker. Trailbreaker is the most underrated defensive weapon the Autobots have. His force field projection can protect the entire team from firepower that would shred individual bots. He is the wall between the Autobots and annihilation on more battles than the records reflect. He is also chronically self-deprecating about it. In a roster full of strong personalities and stronger egos, Trailbreaker is the one who genuinely does not think he is special. He thinks he is useful, which is different. The Autobots would have lost far more without him than anyone has properly acknowledged. The fact that he does not point this out constantly is either humility or the saddest thing about him. Possibly both. Perceptor. Perceptor is to science what Wheeljack is to engineering. The difference is Perceptor never blows anything up. He is methodical, precise, and speaks in a register of scientific terminology so dense that other Autobots have started just nodding and letting him finish before asking Ratchet for a translation. He transforms into a microscope, which is exactly as impractical on a battlefield as it sounds. Nobody cares because when Perceptor diagnoses a problem, the diagnosis is always correct. In the IDW comics, he is reimagined as a sniper after being wounded, which works because the same mind that can calculate molecular structures can calculate a ballistic trajectory with equal precision. Skyfire. Skyfire is the most tragic backstory on the Autobot roster, and that is a serious competition. He was a scientist, a pre-war explorer who traveled the universe with his partner Starscream before the war existed, before either of them had chosen a side. He was lost in an accident on prehistoric Earth and frozen for millions of years. When he is found and revived, the war he never knew has been running longer than most civilizations have existed. His partner is now one of the most dangerous Decepticons alive. Everything he knew is gone, and Skyfire still chooses the right side. Chooses it knowing Starscream will never come back to it. He is one of the few Autobots whose goodness costs him something concrete every single day. Grimlock, meet Grimlock King. And do not let anyone tell you that catchphrase is just comic relief. Grimlock is the most complicated Autobot on the roster, and the one most actively uncomfortable with what the war has made him. He is the strongest Autobot. Not the best fighter, not the most skilled, the strongest. Raw power that makes Decepticons recalculate their approach every time. He transforms into a mechanical T-Rex that breathes fire. His intelligence in early continuities is presented as limited, which the IDW comics systematically dismantled by revealing Grimlock as a tactical genius who plays dumb because being underestimated is a weapon. He distrusts Optimus not out of rebellion, but out of genuine philosophical disagreement. He thinks Prime is too merciful. Slag. Slag is the Dinobot who makes Grimlock seem patient. He transforms into a Triceratops and argues with everyone, including Grimlock, which is either brave or deeply unhinged. In combat, he is devastating. Off the battlefield, he is a persistent headache for anyone trying to maintain unit cohesion. Renamed Slug in later continuities because someone at Hasbro finally looked up what slag means in British English. Snarl. Snarl is the Dinobot who only fully comes alive in sunlight. His Stegosaurus alt mode absorbs solar energy through the plates on his back, making him supercharged outdoors and noticeably less effective in indoor or night engagements. He is the most isolated member of an already isolated team, and occasionally the most surprisingly thoughtful one. Sludge. Sludge is the Dinobot people most often forget, and that is a genuine mistake. A mechanical Brontosaurus who shakes the ground like a localized earthquake is not something to sleep on. He is slower, gentler, and somehow the most naturally comfortable on Earth of all 5 Dinobots. He likes it here. He has never been able to explain why in a way that satisfies the others, who are not particularly interested in explanations anyway. Swoop. Swoop is the Dinobot who gets to fly, and every single one of the others is jealous about it, even though none of them would admit that under any circumstances. He transforms into a Pteranodon and provides aerial coverage the aerial bots sometimes forget to account for. He was the hardest to convince when Wheeljack originally activated them. The others followed Grimlock. Swoop needed a separate argument. That independence has never gone away. Cup has a story for every situation, and every situation reminds him of 3 other situations. He is the oldest Autobot field commander on record, a veteran of conflicts that predate the war with the Decepticons entirely. His frame of reference for what counts as a crisis is calibrated to a scale younger bots cannot access. He is Rodimus Prime's mentor, and the most important voice telling Hot Rod that being Optimus Prime is not something you become overnight. He is absolutely right about this in ways that Hot Rod only figures out after the fact. His instincts are not outclassed by anything. Hot Rod Hot Rod is the most controversial Autobot in the entire franchise, and he earned that status by accidentally getting Optimus Prime killed. That is not a simplified reading of what happens in Transformers the movie. He grabs Megatron's gun in a critical moment, the shot goes wild, Optimus is fatally wounded. Hot Rod carries that. What happens afterward is one of the better character arcs the franchise has produced. He does not want to be Prime. He never wanted the Matrix or the name Rodimus. He wanted to be fast and brave and maybe reckless in ways that felt good instead of catastrophic. The universe handed him a burden he did not ask for, and he grows into it imperfectly, which is more honest than most Chosen One narratives manage to be. Rodimus Prime, the version of Hot Rod that carries the Matrix, is simultaneously the same bot and a completely different one. Rodimus Prime is haunted in a way Hot Rod was not, because Rodimus understands the weight of what Prime meant and feels daily that he is not adequate to it. The Decepticons use this constantly. He leads through the post-movie era with a persistent undercurrent of self-doubt that the other Autobots try to support and occasionally exploit. He eventually steps aside for a returned Optimus, and the relief in that moment is complicated. Someone giving up power they never wanted and not knowing whether to feel free or ashamed about how glad they are. Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus is what you get when you build someone to be a leader who fundamentally does not believe he is one. Always the second choice by his own assessment, and always wrong about that assessment. He is given the matrix of leadership in the movie, and it does not open for him. He takes this as confirmation. It is not. The Matrix knew Ultra Magnus would lead by duty and capability, and never by ego, which is precisely the kind of person who should be holding it. He does not see this. In the IDW comics, he is reimagined as a rigid enforcer of Cybertronian law, so committed to rules and codes that he has become the most reliable and most inflexible Autobot in the fleet. Both versions are correct. Both versions are sad in the same specific way. Springer. Springer is the Autobot who actually enjoys this. Not in Sideswipe's performative recklessness or Cliffjumper's barely contained fury. Springer has a genuine warrior's ease in combat, a triple changer who converts between robot, car, and helicopter with a kind of effortless fluidity that makes other Autobots look like they are still reading the instructions. He is funny, capable, and one of the few Autobots who could step into a leadership role without either refusing it like Ultra Magnus or breaking under it like early Rodimus. Arcee. Arcee is consistently one of the most capable fighters on the Autobot roster, and consistently underutilized in early continuities in ways that later versions actively correct. She is built for speed and precision, her combat style focused entirely on efficiency. In Transformers Prime, she is given a backstory involving the deaths of partners that adds a weight to her aggression that transforms what could be a straightforward character into someone processing grief through combat. She protects humans with that specific fierce tenderness Bumblebee has, and she is far less forgiving than he is when something threatens them. The pink color scheme that made her merchandise unfriendly in the 80s is just a color. Everything else about her was built to last. Blur. Blur is the fastest Autobot alive, and also the one you most need subtitles for. He speaks at the same velocity he moves, which is to say faster than comprehension operates. As a courier and reconnaissance operative, he is invaluable. As someone you want a tactical conversation with, he is an absolute nightmare. In the IDW comics, he is compacted into a cube by Shockwave and used as decoration for years. He survives this. He is faster than the thing that tried to kill him. He is faster than most things that try to kill him. That is essentially the entirety of his survival strategy, and it keeps working. Silverbolt. Silverbolt leads the aerial bots, which is immediately the first remarkable thing about him because Silverbolt is terrified of heights. He transforms into a Concorde jet. His function requires him to fly at altitudes that give him genuine fear responses every single time he does it. And he does it anyway, every mission, because his team needs him to. He pushes through the fear not because the fear goes away, but because the mission matters more. This makes him either the most courageous Autobot on the roster or the most stubborn one on it. The answer is probably both, and they are probably the same thing. Powerglide. Powerglide is the Autobot who is extremely aware that he is the only single-seater fighter jet on the team and has built his entire personality around it. He is flashy, attention-seeking, and a genuinely gifted aerial combatant. His most famous story involves developing genuine feelings for a human woman named Astoria Carltonritz, which the cartoon plays completely earnestly and which should not work and somehow does. He is the Autobot who proves that a franchise about giant robots in a civil war has room for something as small and specific as an unrequited crush. He would hate being described that way. He would also not stop talking about it. Superion. The aerial bots combine to form Superion, a gestalt that is more raw power than finesse. 5 flyers merging into one massive combiner who hits with the force of an air strike concentrated into fists. The most interesting readings treat Superion as something genuinely new, not a sum of 5 personalities, but a 6th one that only exists in the combination. What Superion thinks about between battles is not something the franchise has spent enough time with. It should. Hotspot. Hotspot leads the Protectobots, and the thing you need to understand understand about the Protectobots is that they are emergency services given Cybertronian bodies. Fire truck, ambulance, police cars, a rescue helicopter. They run toward the disaster to pull people out of it. Hotspot is the fire truck at the center of this, the commander who prioritizes civilian protection above military advantage in ways that occasionally frustrate strategists like Prowl, and defines exactly what the Autobots are supposed to be fighting for in the first place. Defensor. The Protectobots combine into Defensor, a gestalt built to shield instead of destroy. He is not the most powerful combiner. He is the most defensively capable. In a franchise that celebrates combiners primarily for their destructive capacity, Defensor is the one protecting a city block while the others are trying to level the one next to it. Not every giant robot needs to be an apocalypse. Some of them can just be a wall between the innocent and the thing trying to hurt them. Bulkhead. Bulkhead is the Autobot who breaks things by existing near them and has made peace with this. He is enormous, powerful, and genuinely sweet in a way that catches most people off guard. In Transformers Prime, he is given one of the most affecting relationships in the series with the human character Miko, a partnership built on the shared understanding that sometimes the biggest, loudest presence in the room just wants someone to hang out with. He is also a gifted artist, which the show drops on you like a plot twist. His combat effectiveness is undeniable. His inability to walk through a room without collapsing at least one structural element is equally undeniable. The Autobots have simply accepted both as part of the package. Blaster. Blaster is the Autobot answer to Soundwave, and he is louder about it in every possible sense. He transforms into a boombox, deploys his own team of Minibot cassette warriors, and approaches everything including warfare with the energy of someone who turned the music all the way up and decided the volume is now a weapon. His rivalry with Soundwave is one of the defining ones in the original cartoon because they are mirrors of each other. Both use sound, both command cassette teams, both are intensely loyal to their factions. Blaster just has better taste in music and a considerably worse attitude about being told to tone it down. Wreck-Gar. Wreck-Gar is the leader of the Junkions, Transformers who rebuilt themselves from the wreckage of a garbage planet and based their entire culture on human television broadcasts picked up from deep space. He speaks almost exclusively in commercial slogans and TV catchphrases, which sounds like a joke and is also somehow his entire personality and worldview. He is friendly, aggressively, chaotically friendly. He will fight you to the point of apparent destruction and then offer you a hand up and call you a pal. Wreck-Gar is a lot. He is exactly the right amount of a lot. Omega Supreme. Omega Supreme is what you call when the regular Autobots are not enough. He is enormous. Rocket and tank enormous. An ancient Guardian bot whose scale makes even combiners look manageable. His history with the Constructicons is one of the most affecting in early Transformers lore. They were his friends. They built things together before the war. And then the Decepticons used the Robo-Smasher to corrupt them, and Omega Supreme spent himself trying to fix them and ultimately could not. The warmth he had before that broke. What is left is a Guardian who still protects with the same absolute commitment, just without any expectation that it will end well. He has already survived the worst thing that could happen to him. Everything else is just another mission. Metroplex. Metroplex is a city. Literally, a city. He transforms into a massive Autobot base that houses soldiers and entire operational structures. In his robot mode, he is one of the largest Autobot forms in existence, capable of engaging combiner teams and Decepticon titans without backup. The scale of Metroplex reframes the entire war because suddenly you realize the Autobots and Decepticons are not just fighting over Cybertron. They are fighting with pieces of it. In the IDW comics, his relationship with Optimus Prime is built on a sense of duty so absolute it becomes something close to devotion. He answered Optimus's call across the universe. That is not logistics. That is loyalty at a cosmic scale. Fortress Maximus. If Metroplex is a city, Fortress Maximus is a fortress. The largest transformer in the original continuity, a citybot whose mere existence changes the tactical calculation of every engagement he participates in. His story in the IDW comics is the best the franchise has produced. A warrior so broken by war that he becomes the patient at the Autobot equivalent of a psychiatric ward. He fought so long and so hard that the fighting broke something in him that combat ability cannot fix. His recovery is not triumphant. It is slow and painful and real in a way that most action franchises cannot manage. He is a figure about what prolonged violence actually does to someone. And the answer is not pretty, and he is still here anyway. Smokescreen. Smokescreen is the Autobot who everyone underestimates and who has decided to leverage that completely. He creates disorienting smoke screens in combat, manipulates opponents through misdirection, and has a background in Cybertronian circuit racing that gives him driving instincts that translate directly to battlefield mobility. In Transformers Prime, he is given one of the better arcs in the series, a young bot who wants glory and learns that survival and support are the actual currency of war. His enthusiasm never fully cures, which keeps him charming. His growth is real, which keeps him interesting. Red Alert. Red Alert is the Autobot who is always right that something is about about to go wrong and whose track record of accuracy has not made anyone any less annoyed by the constant warnings. He is the security director, a bot who has processed enough threat data that his baseline has shifted from cautious to paranoid. The infuriating part is that he is almost never wrong. Something is usually about to go wrong. He just announces it in a way that makes the other Autobots tune out before the actually important part. His psychological deterioration in some continuities into genuine paranoid breakdown is handled with more care than you might expect from a franchise about robot dinosaurs. Inferno is the one bot on the Autobot roster who genuinely does not seem to notice that he is in a war. He transforms into a fire truck and treats every mission the same way, with cheerful, uncomplicated readiness to go in wherever the situation is most dangerous. He follows Red Alert around like a loyal partner, which means he is constantly in situations Red Alert has correctly identified as terrible. He walks in anyway. He is the Autobot who proves that courage does not require complexity. Sometimes a fire truck just walks into the fire. No philosophy required. Grapple is the architect, the artist. A bot who could be extraordinary at destruction because the understanding of how structures are built is also the understanding of how they fall, but who has committed completely to creation instead. He designed structures on Cybertron before the war that still stood when the planet was evacuated. His frustration in the war is existential. He has the skills for something magnificent, and the war keeps asking him to reduce things to rubble. Hoist is Grapple's closest companion, and the one who has to talk Grapple down from the ledge every time the war asks him to demolish something he could have designed better. He transforms into a tow truck and approaches everything, including combat, with a calm practicality that makes him the most emotionally functional bot in his immediate circle. He fixes things. Vehicles, machinery, relationships, plans that have fallen apart. In a franchise about constant conflict, Hoist is quietly remarkable for being a bot who has found something close to satisfaction in exactly the role he has. Windcharger is fast, reliable, and one of the most straightforward bots on the roster. His magnetic powers let him throw Decepticons clear of a combat zone with enough force to end the engagement before it starts. There is something almost refreshing about a bot who is simply what he is. No hidden depth, no tragic history. He turns up, does his job, and keeps doing it. The Autobots need those too. First Aid is the Protectobot medic and the one member of that team who takes the Protect in Protectobot most personally. He is a pacifist by temperament, deeply uncomfortable with the violence his team specializes in surviving, and completely unwilling to let that discomfort stop him from running into a firefight to pull someone out. He and Ratchet occupy the same role in their respective units, and are completely different in execution. Ratchet argues and lectures, and maintains sharp opinions about everyone around him. First Aid suffers quietly, and keeps working. Both of them would give anything to be working in a world that needed them less. Chrome Dome is one of the headmasters, Autobots whose Nebulan partners form the robot's head in a process that sounds mechanical and feels deeply intimate. He is a Nemosurgeon, a bot capable of reading and writing memories, which means he holds one of the most quietly terrifying abilities in the franchise. Editing memory is not just a combat application. It is a way of reshaping who someone is. In the IDW comics, his relationship with his partner Rewind is the emotional center of some of the best Transformers storytelling ever produced. A love story between two very different people that ends the way too many Transformers stories end and costs the reader something real. Drift is the Autobot who used to be a Decepticon and has spent every moment since trying to become the opposite of what he was. He is a triple changer with a samurai aesthetic that should not work as well as it does and somehow works completely. He is intense, spiritual in a way most Cybertronians are not, and carries the kind of guilt that you cannot pay down no matter how many good acts you accumulate. What makes him interesting is that the other Autobots never fully let him forget what he was, and Drift never asks them to. He thinks the weight of it is appropriate. Whether that is wisdom or self-punishment, he has not worked out the difference yet. Windblade is a city speaker, a bot who can communicate with Cybertronian titans like Metroplex and Fortress Maximus on a level no other Autobot can access. She is relatively recent to the franchise and represents what happens when Transformers storytelling lets a character be immediately competent and emotionally layered without using either as a substitute for the other. A character whose power set is genuinely unique and whose perspective on Cybertronian culture is shaped by an entirely different context than the ARC crew ever had to reckon with. Optimus Primal leads the Maximals in Beast Wars, and he deserves his spot on this list because the conversation he carries with the legacy of Optimus Prime is one of the most quietly sophisticated things Transformers has done with its own mythology. He transforms into a gorilla. He is named after a legend. He has no idea how close the connection actually runs until the plot of Beast Wars makes it devastatingly clear. He is gentler than Prime and more visibly uncertain, and ultimately just as willing to sacrifice everything for the right outcome. The matrix of leadership does not transfer to him. He earns something equivalent through entirely different means. And that might be the the whole point. The Autobots were built by a war. Optimus Primal chose to be something better than what the war made available. In a list full of extraordinary machines, that choice is the most extraordinary thing on it. If you want to watch similar content in the future, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next video.